Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name's Sophie, and this channel is chronicling my journey of living my best life with multiple chronic health conditions. Today I just sort of want to share a minor revelation I've had in the past week or so in terms of my neck pain and symptoms, and maybe even why I've been having more trouble swallowing. So to start, we have to go back to 2021 when they found a tracheoesophageal fistula, which is a hole between the trachea and the esophagus, and it was surgically repaired. And part of what they did is they took my couple of my neck muscles and sort of rotated them down between the trachea and my esophagus, so they're no longer connected to where they're supposed to be. I can try to show, so here you can see this big muscle here is the sternocleidomastoid. That's one of the muscles. I don't know if the lighting is good enough, but you can see where it connects here. But if I turn this way, you see there's sort of the indent. You don't have the little bulging out of the muscle like you do on this side. And that is because the sternocleidomastoid, as well as some of the other neck muscles called the strap muscles, were cut from the sternum, or the breastbone, and rotated between the trachea and the esophagus. So instead of connecting here, they're somewhere in here. And that's why I have this indent here, because on like this side, the muscles are not connected. Now, the surgery was not supposed to be through my neck. It was originally supposed to be through my side, and it was supposed to be robotically. But because the fistula, the hole, was so high up, that wasn't an option. And I distinctly remember the day of surgery signing consent, and the doctor had literally written in that they had permission to go through my neck if they needed to. And we hadn't discussed that. We hadn't discussed what that would be like, what it would look like, what the long-term ramifications would be. It was literally maybe like an afterthought that morning. I don't know when he wrote it in, but we had never discussed it. And he explained to me as I'm reading through the consent form, he explained to me that he wrote it in just in case. He wanted to cover all the bases. And I told him, whatever you have to do, do it. Like, this has to be fixed, and I'm not coming down here again. And so the surgery happened. There was a lot that went wrong during the surgery. It was much longer than anticipated. He thankfully had basically blocked his entire day for me, and it basically took all day. I was the first person there. I had to be there at 6 in the morning. I think my surgery was at 8. And I don't think they finished until like 3 or something like that. It was the afternoon when they finished. Just a lot of complications. It was hard to intubate. My lung collapsed. They had to get an ENT because they were going through my neck. So they had to get someone like emergently during the surgery. So yeah, a lot went on. But we've never discussed what, if any, long-term ramifications there would be to moving neck muscles. I don't even remember them telling me they had moved the neck muscles. I read that in the report. So it wasn't discussed. All that to say, it wasn't discussed at all. And I remember it was around that time that I started telling my primary doctor, like, I'm having discomfort sitting up. Like, I'm having to recline in my chair because my neck and like my back is hurting. And nothing was done. It was just sort of like dismissed. I think she just sort of like almost laughed or smiled. Like, I don't think anyone saw it as being an actual problem. So I've just sort of been dealing with it for almost 2 years now, I guess. And now that I am sitting up more because I'm working, it's basically an all day, everyday type of thing. And I think it's just because since there's no muscles, I'm having to use other muscles to sort of move my head around during the day. So I'm not sure if this is just something that's always going to be a problem, if I'll be able to like maybe build up some of my other muscles in a way that it's not so painful. It feels like a cramp. Like it feels like I need to sit like this just to relieve some of the strain and like the tension in my neck. But obviously that would create problems on this side, so I'm not going to do that. But I am going to ask the digital physical therapist, because the exercises do help. Like, well, I'll do the exercises a few times a week after work and the pain goes away, but I wake up in the morning and it's back very shortly after sitting up. I just can't tolerate it. I don't know if that's also because of the impaired oxygen extraction and my muscles working harder than they normally would have to. I don't know. There's a lot wrong with me. But so that makes a lot more sense now, and maybe I'll be able to actually figure out something that can help. Otherwise, it'll just be something I have to deal with. And then in regards to the swallowing, since they rotated it around the esophagus, then it kind of makes sense that you don't have the same movement in the esophagus because there's something like attached to it or between it. And if I really do have a stricture that they were not able to dilate with the balloon, then it would make sense that it could be like build up scar tissue, but they didn't see any scar tissue that they noted. But it would make sense that it's the muscles that's between my trachea and my esophagus. And that, if that's what it is, that will be something that I'll have to deal with. There's no getting around that. So I'm trying different swallowing positions, like maybe tilting my head down. That seems to help a little when I swallow. I do sometimes get like an esophageal spasm, it feels like. It doesn't impact my breathing, but it's definitely like a cramp. When I see GI next month, I will ask about that, if it could be caused by, something like that. But I was having that cramp before the fistula surgery, so I'm not sure that's what's going on there. But the swallowing difficulty that I'm having now, the degree of difficulty, and even the type of difficulty is different. I haven't had it in the past. But yeah, so 2 years later, I am starting to learn about the ramifications of a surgery that wasn't supposed to happen in the area it happened in, so nothing was discussed as to what's going to happen down the line. But I'm glad that it all is starting to make sense. Hopefully the physical therapist has some good news in terms of what I will be able to do in terms of building up other muscles. But yeah, that's going to be it for this one. I just thought it was interesting 2 years after the fact, like no one thought to tell me like, hey, firstly, no one's thought to tell me your muscles are no longer attached. I obviously noticed when it started healing that this big indent was there, but even then they didn't tell me why. It wasn't until I read the notes that I realized why. But yeah. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one. I hope you guys are having a good day whenever it is you are seeing it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.